Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Monday, June 27th, 2016, and we're here a bit late, but we're here. So, yeah, okay, so the yesterday's stream went really well, actually. We added about half 1,000 lines of, well, we converted, you know, about 1,000 lines of code into about 400 lines of code. So, you know, we took some out, whatever, but whatever. We dumped it in, and it seemed to work bug-free for, I mean, it's not complete. We still have to add features to it, like highlighting the colors of the game board based on what the pieces can reach and all that sort of stuff, and even just having the pieces be accessible on the board. Haven't done any of that yet, but yeah, the actual moving our camera around seems to just work. So, good on that, and we'll see how it goes from there. And it's also a bit easier now because we converted the earlier, easier method of, like, you know, when you have a mouse, you know, click and drag would, you know, select whatever the first thing it saw on the drag, which could be a skybox, could be the tile, could be the piece, could be a decoration mesh, something, we don't know. But in this case, it has to click and be on the same object. This could be a little bit more annoying if there's a lot of decorations around, basically, and you have to make sure that it's the same on both in and out. Like both down and up, mouse down, mouse up, which could be a bit more confusing. That being said, clicks are generally speaking pretty quick and fairly precise. So, but it also gives us the opportunity now to do something with click and drag. Before, we kind of removed that functionality because we didn't properly implement click. Now, click's properly implemented, we can use drag without clicking for something else. So if I click and move my mouse on something that's not, like, not the same tile, so let's say or the same location, could be a piece and a tile or whatever. So I click on a piece and I drag down like 5 tiles, I could implement that to mean, like, I want to drag the map around, or I could have some other functionality for it. Maybe special moves where you have to draw something on a screen or something. Let's not be too ridiculous now, but all that functionality is now out because we have a proper click. We could have done proper clicks client side using the on-click method on each actor, but we had a problem when we first tried that because that was what we first did back in the single-player era. We had a problem of, and we kind of know how to fix it now, but it's a bit more complicated than we necessarily need. Figuring out how to get the player controller out of that. So if we do it on the... it seems like what people do in Unreal Engine is they do the first player controller, and if it's on a client, it'll be the only player controller because they're the only one connected. Assuming you don't have split screen, that's one of the things that that's one of the reasons why I got rid of that. I dodged that, basically. And if you're on a server, the first connected client will be the server's listen client. So if you're a dedicated server, doesn't matter, but if you are a listen server, there should be only one player controller attached, should. And that would be the local player on this server, so the person that's running as host. Again, I've been looking around, so basically what I'm saying is that if I click on an actor, I could look on the actor and say, do I have just one player controller? Okay, it's that one. Do I have multiple player controllers? Okay, I'm a server, run the first player controller 0. I've been looking around, that seems to be the common way of doing things, but I've never actually seen Epic explicitly say, this is going to always work. We're never going to release a change where the listen, or there's no condition now, and we're not going to accidentally make a condition in the future where the server's listen client, like the host, will be always player 0. It just will happen to work out that way every time. That's not really comforting, because I don't want to have to go and be like, Unreal Engine 4.13, oh, now we have to redo our entire input mechanism. So I kind of had to do it from the player controller perspective, because I can always guarantee that if I'm on a player controller, the player controller is the player controller I need, because I am it, right? So it was a bit more use, possibly for nothing, possibly reusing code that, possibly circumventing code that could have always worked, but I don't know that, and no one from Epic has ever explicitly said this is always going to work in this way that I saw, at least. Maybe there was, that was said earlier and that was fine, but it was not very comforting for me, so, you know. It'd be nice if there was a method to do that when you say get player controller, you can say get like local player controller. So would it get you all four controllers? And it would give you all of the player controllers that are associated with that instance. So if it's a server, it would be all player controllers on the server. If it was on the client, it would be all player controllers on the client. And I say player controllers plural because there could be split screen. I might have to dodge PC split screen, which is annoying. I always really wanted to do PC split screen, if only to make the point of there are PC games that do it, even if I have to make it myself, right? But it's looking like Unreal Engine 4's architecture makes it a bit convoluted, at least that I can see. I was hoping to have it be like, you know, you have one connected server, and you have guests. Sort of like how Xbox Live it used to work, at least I'm not sure if they do that differently now, where you have player 1 be connected to Xbox Live and players 2, 3, 4, if online split screen's allowed, would be, you know, Scott Michaud guest 2, right, or whatever it is. Anyway, so that's a long rant, but basically we seem to be going fine, so let's get back to what we were doing and start implementing more stuff. Oh, let's see here. Just Chris saying that I'm live. Thank you. Thanks for, you know, tweeting out or messaging out into various IRC channels that I'm live. It's very appreciated. I don't want you to, like, spam places, you know, annoy your followers, or, you know, go to a IRC channel that doesn't want to know. Like, doesn't allow... Like, you wouldn't want to go to another guy's, you know, stream chat and be like, someone else is streaming over here, go to there instead. That would be kind of annoying, right? But, for them. But I do appreciate everyone who, shows this stream to other people to draw new viewers to it if they're interested in seeing someone beat their head against Unreal Engine 4 and C++. So there's that, and then let's open up Visual Studio Code. There is a new version of Visual Studio out, Visual Studio Update 3. It was released today. I thought it was released a couple weeks ago during E3, but apparently that was just an RC client release candidate. There is some known issues with Unreal Engine 4. Basically, they did some things to make it easier for users. They have some, you know, macros like generated body and U property and stuff, which just kind of inject a bunch of functions. Well, turns out that I think precompiled headers, which in the Unreal Build tool, which do some clever things to make it easier for developers who don't need to know that sort of stuff. Hey, Racer1276 in chat, how are you doing? And as I said earlier, if you're in chat and you don't speak, either that one or you're not a regular who always speaks, I'm going to say hi, welcome to the chat. I'm not going to acknowledge you by name because some people like to lurk and I don't know for that. But if you speak in chat, I'm taking that as license to say your name on stream. So if you are Okay, so someone's sending me an image. I'm going to leave it on chat and mute the music for a second, and I'll check and see this. We are usually very careful about loading links in chat, particularly after one guy tried to send us a virus. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna load a... Yeah, actually, seems like they're trying to do it again. Someone says, hey, did you see this? And they send you a link of blah, blah, blah.jpg, and you click on it, and it's like trying to download a Shockwave Flash file. I don't have Flash installed, so that's fine. So yeah, and there was actually, the first time it happened was the day after there was a known zero-day exploit that Adobe hadn't patched yet. So yeah, I'm not gonna ban them from the chat or anything like that, but I don't trust things on being on stream, and I guess I should turn the music back on now because that's all dealt with. Anyway, so yeah, let's get back to work. Kind of lost my train of thought there. So we're gonna compile. Oh, I was gonna say, yeah. So there's a known issue. Apparently, some people have worked around. Epic said we haven't tested this, but you could disable it with this precompiler directive. But we haven't tested it yet. We don't know if it will actually work or if there'll be any bugs associated with it. But if you're stuck, here you go. Well, now they released it, and turns out that one person tried it, and they said it worked for them. I'm gonna be careful and not update yet, so we'll see later on. It may not work, may work, but until I see Epic say, hey, we got it fixed, we got it working now, I'm not gonna update to it, because I don't want to put the stream behind more for just having a new version of Visual Studio not working, right? This one works, and even though there would be nice to have some of the new features, you know. Okay, so now we load into the game, and you'll note that when we move, we're going to see the player controller, sorry, the player pawn snap to the corner of the map, and that's because we never actually set a starting location for it yet, but that's fine. It's got to snap there, but otherwise it works. And we can click on it and rotate as expected. And this motion blur is driving me nuts, so let's actually stop that for a second. Project settings. Rendering. Bloom on exposure and all stuff is good, but we'll remove temporal A and put FXA and remove motion blur, which means we're going to need to commit this to our repository. CD commit config. Should result in the same thing, but you know. Oh, git add. Whoops. Sorry. So let me go here. And you can see it's a bit more jagged around the edges, but it's less blurry. Yeah, Racer already left. I'm assuming they might be a someone who goes from channel to channel trying to frankly social engineer people to run malware. I'm assuming it was intentional, but maybe not. Well, I shouldn't say that. It may not be them. It might be someone who attacked their machine using their machine to do it, or their account. You know, self-propagating malware. Either directly or indirectly. Excuse me about that. So I'm thinking as well, until we get stuff going, 5 days a week was pretty difficult for me to do, so I'm thinking that what I'm going to try to do for now is commit to Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That seems to be good times for a bunch of people involved. Not sure, though, so we'll see. Really, it's kind of difficult to commit to certain days until I get a demo out, because I'm not quite sure what I'm going to end up dealing with in terms of viewer counts and stuff like that, right? So I'm going to try to do Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And maybe a couple streams here and there if I, you know, have something in my head and I'm like, oh, I got to get down. Okay. So this is the mouse press code and mouse release code, which handles double click. Or a single click, sorry. Yeah. Okie dokie. So we're defining a click as whether you click down and click up on the same actor. So that'll be your definition of a click. And the same location. So it could be start click on the piece and move the tile and release, and that would still count as one actor because they're two actors, but they all have the same location. Coordinate. Okay, so yeah. Do I even use game state? I do use game state there. Okay. Okay, so now what we need to do is set up begin play. In order to set up begin play, we need to, in the game state, add a function to get tile nearest coordinate. Or location, say. And where was that again? Not get possible moves, get these at coordinate. is that? Come on. I know there was some function for that here. Let's get pizza coordinate, get tile at coordinate, get tile nearest location, there we are. So we're gonna do a tile, get tile nearest. So get tile nearest, I don't want to say coordinate because coordinate is what the verbiage we're using for, or the, is verbiage the right word? Is the wording we're using for, our tile system. So the location, or the number of each tiles, so like 3232 or 3231 or something like that, not actual like world coordinates of, you know, 0 centimeters, you know, whatever. I believe get actor location is what we use for yeah, location. So I guess we'll keep using the location verbiage, and we'll do effector, because again we're doing floats now because it's Unreal units are in centimeters since Unreal Engine 4. Before it was some weird tiling thing where I think it was like 256 is 1 meter or something like that. It was base 2. Excuse me. And then I can copy and paste this directly. You change this to location, but otherwise it's good. Should be good. 1 second. Sorry about that. Oh, here it is. So location. That's good. So now we can, because this is what we needed to use on begin play to snap our player pawn to the right area. I think that was begin play in player controller 2, right? Or is that begin save? Nope, it was in player controller. So begin play, super begin play. Then we'll do a base game state equals cast a base game state. Really, what I should do is just leave this as a leave references to players to game state and stuff like that as values on it, but I don't really want to deal with in case, you know. A base pawn pawn. Nice. A tile. If not game state or not player pawn, return. A tile, this is not what I did, by the way. I had it set up like this, which means if game state or player pawn was not enabled, the game would just crash. So, being a bit more careful now. Tile equals game state, get tile nearest location, player pawn, get actor location. Then if starting tile hovered location equals starting tile tile state dot coordinate. It was hovered coordinate, sorry. Stating tile, starting tile. Else hovered coordinate equals f int vector 0 value. Okay, and then not last location, it's now called previous hovered coordinate. I was in the wrong window. Sorry, yeah. Wrong split. Time camera move start equals get world get time seconds. Time camera move finish equals time camera move start. That's not what I did last time. Last time I had a little animation of like 100 milliseconds to snap to that location, but the problem is if I snap to that location, you know, I'm snapping from somewhere I don't intend to be to there because I'm trying to spawn there. Okay, so desired yaw. On get actor. Oh, actor rotation. Last yaw equals desired yaw. Once again, I'm using this same there. And time camera rotate finish equals time camera move start. I could have created a local variable and have it be get times seconds and go bam 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 to make it a bit less wordy, but the compiler is going to optimize it out anyway, so there's no reason for it. I'll just have this one be the same value, and we'll just and we'll just have well, yeah. So it said something earlier wrong. It wouldn't be animating from somewhere we don't want to be animating from the same location, so yeah. But as for this, I would have one extra variable, so that's a little bit extra local memory usage, like probably L1 cache usage that would be just pointless. Just to make the code look a little bit better, I mean, not so much. Now it should spawn correctly once we set up spawns to be simple, but in order to set up spawns to be simple, we have to set up a menu system, so we'll get to that in a bit. Right. So let's see if this compiles. Do I drink tea? Yes, I do. Haven't done it so much in a while. Mostly been drinking coffee if I've been drinking anything, but you know, just because the other people around here drink a lot of coffee, so when we go on coffee runs, we all buy coffee, right? But I do like tea, especially iced tea. Actually, I had an iced tea today, but iced tea is not the same as tea. So this should be good. So let's see if it compiles properly. It should compile properly, otherwise we have pre-compiler issues already. Generally speaking, you want to have a very, well, it's funny how there's a lot of times where people, like for JavaScript and stuff like that, kind of focus on a less annoying compiler and a more permissive one. But then you get to stuff like somewhat C++, but if you want to get really, you know, on the other end of the spectrum, you talk about like Rust, where the compiler will just chew you out for any small little thing. Yeah. Oh no, I'm not going to be ordering tea with people online. Sorry about that. I'm not gonna join a you know, bulk tea buying thing. Thanks for the offer though. I don't really like tea that much. I mean, I do, but you know, it's actually nice we have a tea place, 2 of them in the mall, actually, just nearby. Oh no gifts either. Don't worry about that. No thanks. Thanks for the offer though. Actually, very appreciate it. But no thanks. Yeah. Thanks anyway, though. I really do appreciate it. So now we have the game statement we need. So now we need to re-implement the game modes select. Well, not now, but we need to re-implement the game modes choose player start, which will do this sort of thing. The problem is, in order for us to re-implement this, we need to know what our team setup is, so we have to define that first. So how are we gonna do team setup? Let's get Zim out. It's our desktop wiki. Oh, it's on this monitor. Yep. So F team list of F teams, list of F competitors. Now I'll be on game state. Okay. So let's go here, and let's set up our listings. So we need we have checkout types already, right? Yeah, we do. Possible move, tile states, piece states. And then we'll have F team list. And then here. T-array, F team. Oh, sorry, whoops. F team, list of teams. Oh, team list, sorry. A list of teams. So it's not confusing with team list teams. We'll just have it be a base U property for now. We'll not actually deal with blueprint functionality just yet. We'll eventually figure out what we need to allow access to blueprints and what we won't allow access to blueprints. And then T-array and F move is the one I had here. F move list of previous moves. Okay. Then we over here. F team. List of competitors, and then in32 current Oh, I see here. This will actually not be on this. This will be on game state. Okay. And then T-array, F team list. Team setup. No, let's do so what do we want to call this? We want to call it team state. Let's do team list. Why not? And for here, we'll have it be just teams. Competitors. View property. Int32 current team for competitor. It's going to be very similar to what we had before. I don't like how wordy this is, or how many letters it is, but you know. Yeah, previous moves. And the reason why we want to do previous moves is because we may want to allow undos. We may want to allow oh, what was the other one we were thinking of for this? Instead of sorry, undo or oh, saves. So if we want, and replays. So if we want to do have saves and replays allow people to start at any point in a history, we want to store the state as they occur, which is easy because we're a turn-based strategy. It's probably a lot harder for someone like, let's say, Blizzard for StarCraft, which they did in Heart of Swarm, but there's a lot more state you have to think of for that. We're talking about like hundreds of actions per second, whereas this we're talking about like, you know, hundreds of actions per game. So yeah. Hey, welcome to the chat. So F team, F competitor. And then tier A int32 list of spawn numbers. View property. Property. Int32 competitor ID. That's the spawn numbers. View property. This is one we're going to diverge from our last one. So B skipping turn. And then we'll have a competitor type. E competitor type. Unknown is our 0th entry. Human AI. I think it's all we want to do right now. Oh, no, before we actually want to do, yeah, we'll add some other stuff too. We'll add, a spectator, disabled. The reason why is because we're going to be using E competitor types. in the score screen, in the menu system as well. So it'll give us the option for that. Competitor ID. 3D competitor. Okay. Oh, and also need global team number. Global team ID. I'm going to say ID instead of number because it's fewer letters. And it gives a bit better ID because a bit better of an ID. A bit better of an idea of what I'm trying to convey, because it doesn't necessarily mean Team 0, Team 1, Team 2. It could be Red Team, Gold Team, Silver Team, Rock Team. There might be other ways of identifying it based on the material it is or whatever. I don't necessarily want to associate it with a number. I mean, I have to associate it with a number somehow in order to store it as data. It has to be something binary, but yeah. Like, I'm not going to have string comparisons on the team ID, but, you know, it'll wrap to a number, but it'll give a bit better of an idea of what I'm trying to convey. So F team list, F move. So let's see if this builds. Failed. Why did it fail? F team list. F team list. Oh, didn't include check-it types. Oh, I didn't include F move yet. And now for F move, we need to figure out what we need to store for the state. What information are we going to need to know to be able to reconstruct a one there? Okay, so one thing I was looking through here when we were starting originally was structure contains the delta for each move, any piece state, tile state, or card that was changed, so we can loop through them at the start finish. Okay. We're just gonna do like actual movements in the slot for cards, which we'll add in later. So yeah, because I don't really want to have to store the actual tile states themselves. That seems a bit much. F move. Instead of B allows recursion, we'll have origin. Type of move we can get rid of. Now the question, of course, is when we do, this, are we going to want to have, So we have to think of what all our possible moves will be in the course of the game, including down the line. I mean, we can add to it before release, that's fine. After release, though, as I said before when we were talking about it, that could mess up our save game system, where we'd have this stored as a binary blob and written out to a file, and when we read it again, if the structure changed, then they're going to be misaligned to the bytes. So we'd have to, it would be corrupt at that point, so we'd have to redo that, but... So... is moving from point A to point B and a single or a list of played cards valid, or do we want to increase that a little bit? Like, do we want to have methods other than cards be allowed to modify the game? And like we even store a string and have that be parsed as our with a function we create that would change that into some sort of gameplay mechanic. But then we have to create that translation layer, right? And that wouldn't be... I mean, it wouldn't be bad performance. String manipulation is something that processors can do pretty quickly these days. But it's something we have to think about, right? As it stands right now, all we're doing is destination and origin. So we know piece starts here, piece moves there. Piece starts here, piece moves there. But it's later on in the line, like, do we want to have some randomization? Yeah, so we're going to need something for, like, the Knights Bowling, where other pieces could die on that move. So we will have that be done, so we'll check for that. So, U property... and once again, we're going to remove the the macro properties. Because we don't know what we want to allow Blueprint or not. We're probably gonna add it back in like in the next day or two even maybe. But like maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. But you know. T-array, f int vector. So, like, beyond the destination, if there is, like, a knight knocks a queen into another piece, I would add that location to the extra casualties chunk. Excuse me. I would think apart from specials. Because we can determine who played by the origin, and it may not be the same the next time around if we do replay system. They may have shuffled the spawn numbers around, so we don't want to have anything associated with that because it could be different. We just want to play through the replay as if it was the same, and then if anyone changed spawn numbers, then it's up to them to deal with it accordingly. Okay. This should be good, though. Oh, did I forget you struck? That should be better. Silly me and my macros. That rebuilds. It's good. So we're gonna need to generate a new user interface again. That's a short job though. Oh, so in case people don't realize, when you create a save game in Unreal, as far as I understand it, it's been a while since I read up on it. I haven't actually had to do that yet, but you think I would have, but you know. What you do is you take a series of ustructs and other things, you know, other data points, and give it to Epic's Epic's class, and it'll actually write a save game for you with a certain number of slots and stuff like that. So what I could do is do an array of moves and have that be printed out to a file, and like you just give it to the save game and it'll print it out as a file, and you can tell it to read and it would read back accordingly. So yeah, it's pretty interesting in that sense, where they do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. You just need to provide it with the list of data, and it does it. It'll handle the memory to binary blob file conversion for you, which is probably literally just, you know, print out the ones and zeros associated with it. But again, there's a lot of like stuff behind the generated body macro and stuff like that that the U property macro that Epic will probably need to deal with. So now we have all that. We should be able to create the interface to build a level for us to jump into. What we need beyond that, though, is the game instance. I create a game instance, right? Add base game instance. Base game instance. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code. I don't need to know any of that. There we are. Bingo here. Generated body. We'll do public. Why do I need object initializer? So if we look over here, I had object initializer here, but I don't know why I would do that, because I don't think I ever needed it in my constructor. No, my constructor didn't need it. Oh well. So let's just have a more standard constructor then. Base game instance. And of course I'm setting it up in such a way that there probably is a need for it for an, you know, a parent class or something, but I don't remember what that is, so yeah, we'll figure that one out. And then we will have here ubase game instance, ubase game instance, assigned UUID, or let's do assigned ID. -1. And we will add U property in 32 assigned ID. Try to make sure that I didn't accidentally mess myself up. Because the problem is I know that Epic has some things labeled ID and I didn't want to have any name collisions. I know I had a problem with that earlier, but I can't remember what it was. So assigned ID, and then F team list, team list. Did I actually screw up there? Oh, jeez. Don't be silly, Scott. And we'll do include check it types. and then a bunch of U functions. So let's see, did I add anything I needed for game state? Or game instance? Looking down my wiki. We'll be liaison between menu and game. I didn't actually define what I'm trying to do. This is no longer true. Okay. So we're not going to worry about that just yet. Let's try building this. Oh, it blinked. Okay, so it worked. I was just complaining because it didn't properly run the build system or something. Either way. Okay, so let's run the game. And let's start making a menu. New level. I'm not sure if I want to make it empty level or if I want to make it default level. Default, oops, wrong monitor. I'm not sure if I want to make a default level or an empty level for the menu. We'll make it empty level. Okay, so now we click play and it works as intended. In the project settings, maps and modes, base game mode, which associates all that together, so that's good. We still haven't made a custom HUD yet, but that's okay. Use split screen. Base game instance. Okay. And then we will content, new folder, UI, and here. Actually, there's one thing I was going to look at earlier, and that was doing C++ UMG. I was under the impression you kind of needed to use blueprints, but I saw something recently that allows you to do it with C++. I'm not sure if I want to. I do like doing things in C++ just because I don't like how messy blueprints tend to end up being. I know you can do stuff like pins and stuff to make it a bit nicer, and I have done that, but there's something nice about being like line, 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 new function, line, 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 new function, right? No, I mean, you can do all the messy stuff in a function that's, you know, call out to C++, but, you know. Add code to project, select user widget, then you open the IDE. You need to edit your build file. Okay. Should be fine though. Whoops, there we are. Or I could just do it in blueprints. Because again, I can just have, you know, U functions do the heavy lifting. Now, I'd want all of the content to be U structs and stuff that are C++. But I don't know if I want to actually make the widgets themselves C++. It seems like just a little more. Okay. Seems a bit much. Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna have them be blueprint. Okay, so user interface, widget blueprint, and this will be what do I call it? Screen main menu. There we are. Come on. Oh, there we are. Right. Roll. Got a curve. So 1080p is scale 1. So vertical. So 480. So we're just in 20 scale. 0.6. Crummy. That'll be shortest side. Let's leave it like that. Let's see if anyone has any UMG scaling. The benefit of this is that it automatically scales elements up so that way it looks similar on whatever screen you have. The disadvantage is that things won't map one-to-one with pixels. So we had some problem with that where we had kind of fuzzy looking edges and stuff like that. I could disable it and have it be a bit more usable, but so when I supply a coordinates, it maps to a pixel, so you don't have these weird half pixel or quarter pixel things creating like a kind of a ghostly outline. But then it's up to me to manage everything, right? I'll just use Epic's default. Why not? Why not? So it's gonna end up looking like 1080p, and the shortest side is 1.0 scale. That makes sense if we're gonna have our screen automatically be full screen 1080p as our default. The question then is, for our use case, are we going to expect this game will be played mostly full screen or mostly as a window? StarCraft's played mostly full screen. So what does everyone here in the chat think? Do you think, and this is what I was kind of thinking on for the last couple of minutes in my head, would you want to play Check It, as you've seen, primarily full screen or primarily in a window? What type of game do you think it will be? I mean, it's a lot more window optimized than, let's say, a first-person shooter, where you typically want to have the full screen for it. But is it something that should have be first foremost, or should I optimize for full screen viewers? Yeah. Well, the option for both would be nice. Yes, it will allow both. I'm not going to separate one from the other. But when I'm designing the user interface, what should... Okay, so people are saying window mode. So when I'm designing a user interface, should I design it primarily for Windows? It will... Not Windows like Windows, the operating system, like Windows, like, you know, like windowed mode? Or should I primarily... like, when I say Windows, I mean windowed mode. Or would it be like full screen? Full screen window? Ah, shift there. Okay, that's a weird system, but okay. So people are saying that windowed for multitasking would be their primary way of playing the game. And I've also noticed that when it was full screen, I started feeling a little bit motion sickness from the, even though I don't usually get motion sick, but when I first started playing Check-It, the look down perspective, covering most of my vision, ended up making me feel a little bit weird when I was moving it around. It wasn't like that in windowed mode. So we're gonna create our game assuming that most players will play it windowed mode. If that's the case, then I'm probably going to want to have, I'm probably going to want to have 720p be the default resolution. Okay. Scale 1, and now... So... which would mean that 1080p would be, so 720 divided by 1080. Yeah, so it's 1.5 times that. So let's have it be 1.5 times. And then, nope, nope. So then, 720 divided by 480. That's 1.5 still, so that would be 66%. So now we have to then scale this up. So then 8640 divided by 720. This would be DPI scale 12. So there's our linear ramp between those values. And again, the only reason why you put, well, the reason why you put this here at 720 and this here at 1080 is so we don't get any weird rounding errors. We want 720p exactly and 1080p exactly to behave as 1.5 or as 1.0 directly. At least I'm assuming that's why Epic did that way, right? So we'll save that, save all, and then we will add check, right align. So yeah, it wasn't so much I was saying what do we want to have, you know, what do I want to support, as in like you can't do windowed or you can't do full screen. I was trying to think of what I want to have be the default resolution, and then have it scaled from there accordingly. And that would depend on what the use case was. If you want to play in windowed, I'm assuming that probably 720p windowed mode would probably make the most sense. So I will have the UI scale be 1.0 at, or I'm having the AI scale be 1.0 at 720p. So I want to make it look good at 720p, and when we go to 1080p for full screen gamers or whatever, it will then scale up by a factor of 1.5. So every 2 pixels will end up being 3 pixels. But now if we have 1280, we'll see that it's aligning. So this grid is going to be 720p. Actually, I want AMD VR compatible. VR would be kind of interesting for this. I mean, you'd be looking down at it, so I'm not sure if your brain would be like, oh, you know, I'm falling, or your brain would be like, I am controlling a board game, right? I don't know. Sorry. Anchors, top right. And then we will have size X be 400 and position X be -400. NVIDIA all the way. Yeah, so you'll find that on Linux, people tend to prefer NVIDIA over AMD, despite AMD having much more open source consideration, right? But NVIDIA's closed source stuff tends to be pretty good. And size, we'll have it be, let's do 80. And we'll increase the font size to 40. 60. It's a bit much. No, maybe not. Looks about right. So then we will copy and paste. It was -450. And then the size is there, so actually almost perfect. And then this will be it. Compile and save. And then we can have 4 buttons down the middle, which works well for controllers. The setup method that we had earlier, actually I'll show it to you. 2015. The setup method we had earlier. Oh, I just realized I can't, if I upgrade to update 3, I won't necessarily be, I might not be able to fix the 4.11 project. So I might have to compile it out as a project, because I would have to then roll back Visual Studio to a older version to open up and edit it again. Okay, that's interesting to think of. But for now, I can just open it up. So I'll cook out a version of this. If it even allows me to cook it, I'm not sure if it will open properly. GTX 1180s, I didn't realize, I thought it's a 1080s. Yeah, not quite yet. After the GTX 1080, they're going to be probably doing GP102, which is a new system for them. Normally they have their big architecture, and they have their small architecture, Then they have their smaller architecture, and their GPU line scales accordingly. And sometimes they have even one beyond that, I think. Maybe not, but the interesting thing right now is that GP100, which is the big Pascal they're putting into servers, has a lot of functionality for machine learning, for big data and sort of stuff. And they're seeing that while it should perform slightly better than, or somewhat better than GP104, which is what the GTX 1080s are, unless they can get the clock rates way up higher than they have for enterprise parts, it's possible that it won't be that big of an upgrade, even though their yields for that chip are going to be way lower, right? Because instead of a 300mm squared chip, which is what they typically target their mainstream parts at, it's 600 square millimeters, which is as big as the Titan X chip and the other chips, Fury X and stuff like that, which for a new process node is very ambitious. Once the fabrication facilities like TSMC and the other companies, and keep in mind, I just want to let you know, there's no NDA information about any of this. I'm just going by rumors and stuff that I've heard online. There is, and also, you know, talking with other people, but we don't have any NDA information about any of this stuff, so I'm just kind of spitting back stuff I've heard. I'm not, you know, I'm not the source of anything. Well, I may be the source of some links, but whatever. So they're seeing that it's such a big chip, but they're using a lot of that die space for things that are not gaming. Possibly because they're trying to fight Intel. Because Intel Xeon Phi has some interesting aspects to it that could be very interesting for supercomputer clients. So we may not actually get GP100 as a gaming part. It may not make sense to, because we don't need all that double precision performance, which is half of single precision performance, which is a lot. Normally, parts are like 1/3 or 1/6 or 1/32 in Maxwell and Pascal, or Maxwell and Gaming Pascal. Big Kepler was 1/6, and small Kepler, like gaming Kepler, was 1/24. And all that just means that they can use transistors for if they have less 64-bit performance, they can use those transistors for more 32-bit performance, which is what gaming applications use. But now it looks like they're actually making something somewhere between the 300mm squared and the 600mm squared version, called GP102. That's what the rumors say, which have it around 450 square millimeters. If that's pure gaming, like 32-bit performance, with like a 1/32, 64-bit, whatever, that'll probably be faster at gaming than Big Pascal, just by going by how the die area is laid out. If they can keep the clocks up and stuff like that. If they're going to be releasing something that's smaller that is just as good as gaming, they would not release the big one as gaming, and that's kind of concern. Because that means that it'll be the first time that Big Pascal will never receive enthusiasts or gamers ever. It will only be released as, if this is, you know, how it works out. I wrote this in an article at one point. This will be the only time we'll see it. So if we'd see a Titan or a 1080 Ti or whatever it is, it would be, according to the rumors, GP102. That's interesting, right? It's a bit of a divergence. When will those come? We don't know. Rumors say early next year. Some rumors recently said a couple months, which would make no sense, because that would just completely cannibalize sales of GTX 1080 before they even came in stock, right? Before we can even buy one. It's been a month, and it's, I mean, you can buy them. I've seen them on Newegg, but, like, add-in board partners are very low stock. You can barely find them. Founders Editions you can kind of find if you're looking every day. that's a concern, right? Why would they cannibalize their own sales? So I'm assuming it's going to be later on, like 2017, but who knows? But we're probably not going to get the big Pascal. So if you want 64-bit performance, you might have to buy a Tesla. Not the Tesla car. Tell Ryan to have a pepper eating contest with Raja on Wednesday. Okay, so as I'm saying this, we have a live stream coming up with AMD on not on this channel, on Pete's Perspective channel, the channel I work for, the website I work for actually, with Raja Kaduri. I think I pronounced that correctly, of AMD, who is the head of their graphics division, Radeon division. He, like I said, is the head of the division, and they're going to be launching the RX 480 that day, so guess what they're going to be talking about? Yeah, it's normally we get Tom Peterson on, but it's going to be one of the first time, I think it's the first time we got Raja on for that, so yeah. And apparently he's known to eat very spicy food. He said that, okay, so at various events, he accepts challenges for ghost pepper eating competitions. And they say that there was only one person who beat him at eating the spicy food, eating the ghost peppers. And he barely beat him, to the point where Raja, as a congratulations for beating me, signed his ECG from the paramedics who treated him for eating ghost peppers. Oh, it's Carolina Reapers? I thought it was ghost peppers. Anyway, Ben would probably know a lot more about it. I was actually talking on Linux Gamecast on the chat room earlier that Ben says he loves that sort of stuff. I'm saying, you know, it'd be interesting to see him compete against Raja Kaduri, who is apparently basically undefeated in Ghost Pepper Challenge. Oh, they're the Ghost Peppers? Okay. I don't really... I mean, I like spicy food. If you talk to anyone else in the, in the house or my friends or whatever, I eat the spiciest food of all of us. I like things very spicy. However, if you compare me to, like, Ven or Raja, I'd probably be a lightweight. Yeah. Anyway, so that little rant aside, we are having a AMD presenter on Wednesday the 29th of June to talk about the new RX card. Ground pepper is as hot as you get. Okay. Actually, it's funny. There was one time I used keg spice. You know, the keg. I'm not sure if it's in other countries besides Canada. I think it is. The Keg is a steakhouse, and they sell something called keg spice, which you put on steaks and stuff like that. It's spicy, but not hot. It's not that kind of spicy. It's a steak spice, right? So one time I made beef and barley soup, and I tend to be a bit meticulous, probably a little too much when I do cooking. So I cut up the roast into cubes, and I seared each cube individually, only like a couple of cubes in the pan at a time, or pot at a time. It was the I did it in the bottom of the stew pot I was gonna use. And I basically covered all sides with keg spice, and I seared them up. And then when it was all seared, I put them in a bowl, and I took the next couple pieces in, and it took a good amount of time. It took like a half hour or something like that. Thanks, Lord Prim. So I took, all that sort of stuff. So basically every cube of meat was covered in spice. And then I put it in the bowl, and then when I made the soup, I dumped all the meat and all the juice that came out of it in it as well. That was hot! I ended up using probably about, like, including the stuff that was, seared on with the meat, ended up using probably about like a cup of cake spice in a soup. It was hot though. It was uncomfortable. So anyway, people wondering who just came in, wondering what we're doing. We're making a video game. This is the old version, and this is what the AUI looks like. So when you launch, here we are. It's like chess, but with design levels. This time, for some reason, I wanted the queen to go all the way over there, so we will just kill the king and win. Oh, there's no win screen yet, because we didn't have a chance to program it. And since the player has no king, there's no more control range, so they can't move any piece. Because basically how it works is you can move pieces as long as you have king control, so there's this out of bounds area here because this king has all of this control range, and then this king has all of this control range. And you can play like that, but now that I killed the enemy king, they can't do anything because they have no control. All of these pieces have no control. And I can't access it until I move my king over. So anyway, this was buggy. It wouldn't let us into, sorry, it wouldn't let us work for Unreal Engine 4.12. So we had to kind of redo it. We had a broken project from using a preview build. And this is what we were working on now. Oh, and actually I can show you as well an older version of it that was working on at Game Jam. Oops. I completely forgot why I opened up the other version of Unreal, but yeah. So this is a chessboard level of the original version, and it plays as you would expect. But we can do open cross streams, and this will give you a bit better of an example of what my test maps are, what my maps are kind of supposed to look like. This is a town where AI spawns over here, or one spawns over here, the other spawns over there, and you can slowly work your way into the town and so forth. Or you can go to the side, pick up some knights from the stable, because they're horses. And now we're in range such that I can grab this knight. I can still grab this knight. 1 second. Here. I can still grab this knight, or I can, but I cannot grab this knight yet. It's not in range. I have to move my king over one more to get this knight in range to move it. So that's what we're working on, and we're just wrapping up today. We are working on getting our stuff back in, starting with the user interface. I'm going to call on knight tonight, so thanks everyone for watching. And for some reason I talked about cooking Indiana, I'm not sure why. Oh, because we're talking about ghost peppers, right?